Hi, everybody. Lee Scott here. Thank you for watching and or listening to this week's episode of Leading with Lee. We're talking about life, leadership, and legacy. We want to help you unleash your capacity and level of leadership. I'm so excited that you are here. But before I share today, if you have not done it yet, go and subscribe to Leading with Lee on YouTube and all podcasting platforms. Well, today is a very, very special episode because it is my birthday episode, my annual birthday episode. If you did not know, my birthday is September the 11th, and I am turning 31 this year. I'm now in my big threes, as they say, permanently. And it's been an interesting year in my life. And I just wanted to share some things and a reflection about this last year of my life, but also just kind of talk about what am I looking forward to and what am I working on as we go forward. But before I do that, I guess why not? Why not I share this every time I do episodes, I share my definition of leadership. And it's not a bad time to talk about it. So I'll share with you. My leadership definition is I believe that leadership is seeing something that has not happened yet and taking people, organizations, and personal processes in that direction. I believe that leadership is seeing something that has not happened yet and taking people, organizations, and personal processes in that direction. As I stated, this is my annual birthday episode. And so generally, I do some talking about things that have happened in my life over the last year. And it's been a fun and interesting year of my life. If I can truly tell you, this time last year looked vastly different from right now. And I'm super grateful that I have the opportunity to share with you about what this year has been like and really get down to some of the things that I've experienced over the last year. This time last year, I lost my job. I was trying to figure out what I needed to do next. My girlfriend at the time had moved back to Brazil about 2 or 3 months before that, and I was really, really missing her. I had gotten back, I was consistently going to therapy for a while and just adjusting to these different ebb and flows in my life. I've been got involved in my church community and stuff like that by this point. And so there were things that were happening in my life that were transpiring all the time. I had started to really, really try to get back into going to the gym consistently because I haven't really been doing it, and it was an adjustment that what I was trying to make to live healthy and try to really stay consistent in the gym and just really, really take care of my health in all aspects of it. And it was an interesting time. It's been an interesting time for me over the last year, consider all those things. And what changed for me was I start working for Get to College, which is a educational nonprofit where I've been going to schools over the last year, engaging families and students, talking to them about the next step, which is college, which seems like a fulfillment of something that was always attached to me and in my life. I always have liked to work with that 15 to 24-year-old age range in a lot of ways. And I've shared that on here before, but it's been really, really cool. And I'm super grateful that I've got an opportunity to do the work that I do every single day and engaging those families. Still working on going to therapy, still working on my mental health has been a priority and a thing that I've been doing over the last year and prioritizing that. But also on top of that, my life has changed. The woman who was my girlfriend is now my wife. My wife's name is Amanda, and I'm super grateful. I mean, it's been an incredible and wild year for us because literally we spent the last year apart from each other. My wife is from Brazil, and she literally has been back home in Brazil for the last year. And it was a challenge. There was a lot of challenging moments with time differences and all the aspects of that and trying to navigate what it was going to look like. And, one of the things that I like to be very frank and honest about, I remember when she got on a plane to go back home, I said to myself that day, I will never let her leave me if she didn't have to. And so I did everything I could to ensure that that was the last time that happened. And I'm super grateful for just what all that transpired in that regard. And I'm super thankful that I get to see my best friend every day, and I get to spend my life with her and continue to grow with her. And one of the things that I've been still doing has been mentoring. There's a student a few years ago I got involved in this mentorship program called Red Door Jackson, and through that program I've gotten to mentor this student for the last few years, and it's been such a powerful experience for me because it's challenged me to learn and grow in a lot of ways. But I reflect over my life as a result of that. And one of the things that I think is super important for you in your life is to reflect. I talk about that all the time on here on Leading. This is a part of documenting my life and documenting what's happening with me. But I think it's important for you as you're listening to this or watching this that you take into consideration a reflection of the year that you've lived, a reflection of how far you've come, what has transpired, what is happening, because the more you do that, the more you begin to value the seasons of your life. And I think that's been a powerful thing for me and a powerful thing in my life. One of the things that has happened too over the last year there's been a lot of changes in the situations around. One of uh, one of the things I've been desiring to do is to get involved in my community in a lot more ways. And so I got involved in my neighborhood association about 2 years ago, and just having an opportunity to see what's going on in South Jackson, see what's happening in the community around me, and seeing some of the leaders that have been doing incredible work to improve the quality of life of folks that looks like me in our community, and thinking about ways, how can we improve people's lives? How can we do things that are positive in our lives, and really enjoying the lessons that I've learned, have a lot of conversations with individuals throughout the last few years that really have left an imprint on my perspective about what is possible here in Jackson, what's possible in our communities, what's possible around. And it's been really cool to engage several individuals who have really, really been veterans in this work, have dedicated their lives and been very intentional about the work that they have been doing throughout time. And I think that that's really important. I think as you are thinking about your life and thinking about what you're going to do forward, it's important that you listen to people who have lived life a little bit longer. It's good to engage people who have experienced some things that you have not experienced. As I stated earlier, I'm now a married man, and I haven't been married very long. And I can tell you that I have had to learn some lessons. I've asked men who've been married probably most of my life, how did they get to 30 years? How did they get to these moments? What were some of the lessons that they learned? How are they challenging themselves to grow? How they're challenging themselves to be better leaders in their family, better leaders in their communities, better leaders in the spaces that they occupy in their lives. And I think it's super important for that to be articulated in that way. So I'm super excited about what this year has been. I'm more healthy than I have been emotionally and mentally. I really am proud of myself for sharing things that really had a lot of meaning to me in my life. My wife knows a lot of things, and one of the reasons why I married my wife is because she loved me for my story. She loved me for the things that I had to endure in my own life, the things that I had to overcome in my life. She loved me in spite of all the trauma that I've experienced, all the things that have made me who I am. And I'm super grateful and I'm thankful to God for my life. I'm super thankful because I would not be the man that I am in some ways today had not for the love and compassion that she's shown me over the last few years. Even when we were friends, she was just such a compassionate and loving and authentic person who really believed in me and really was in my corner and did not uh, uh, disparage my dreams and chop down my dreams and tell me that things were impossible. My wife has always been a person who says, yeah, it's possible. Even when we were friends, she was telling me things were possible. And I always admired that about her. And it was the big reason why I couldn't afford, at least for me, it may be different for you, but I couldn't afford her to not be in my life. And this is not a sharing of this year as it relates to just me and my wife, but it is a big part of what happened to me in my 30th year of life. To start the decade off, I got married. To start this time of my life, I moved into something that was very, very attached to my identity as someone who wants to leave a lasting legacy by investing in the next generation through the work that I do every single day. And so it's been great. Realizing I was just thinking back a little bit as I was preparing to share of where I was when I started leading. I mean, I was 26, 25 years old at 20, yeah, 24, 25 years old at the time I had the idea for leading, and how that evolved over time, and how all the things that have happened in my life that were influencing every episode of leading, how literally you can see the chronicle of my life of where I was at the time when I was 25, 26 years old doing Leading with Lee, and how we went from the seminar to now doing the podcast for the last 4 years or so, and doing for 5 years, been doing for 5 years of leading, and how literally it you could see my life playing out in that. I think about where I was at the time. I mean, I was still living in Oklahoma at the time, and I was at the time had just left working at Walmart, and trying to finish my degree after fighting with my alma mater for some years to try to get in the course and take care of the courses that I needed. And then having a situation where I was like, man, I don't think anybody's gonna give me an opportunity to do this. I got to build the door. I have to talk about the things that I want to talk about, that I care about, that I'm passionate about. And I can tell you, it's been amazing to see over that time how just me taking a step. I look back at some of the episodes. I'm serious. I go back and watch every once in a while some of the episodes from the first season. And I'm like, man, I've come a long way. Some things haven't changed, but a lot has changed. And I can look at my life. I mean, even then, I wasn't wearing glasses because I needed them. If you've noticed the last two seasons, you have never not seen me without glasses on because my eyes changed on me. I actually could see much more clearly 5 years ago, and my eyesight has changed, and now I need it in order for me to read or do anything important. And so that change of knowing that I've gotten older, and things have transpired, all of the different things that have been happening in my life. It's proof that when you do things consistently in life, you can learn a whole lot about yourself. And I've been chronicling this story of leadership. I believe that every person has a passing level of leadership. I still believe that 5 years later. And the 26-year-old me is in agreement with now the 31-year-old me. And I'm super grateful for the work that I've been involved in and gotten to do by working for banking to doing things in the nonprofit space the last few years, and all the things that have transpired in my life, all the journey that I've gone on has been a testament of where I am and a testament of where I'm going. And so I'm going to take a break here in a moment, but before I take a break, I'm going to say thank you to folks who have been with me on this journey throughout the years. You've gotten a chance to look at us in my life. You may have not seen, I may have not chronicled my life in a way that is typical, but when you're someone like me that believes that every person has a capacity and level of leadership, you start realizing that in talking about this subject, it's not about me being overly personal in some ways, but how I've been telling you the story of how leadership has affected my life, how the idea of the concept of leadership has affected how I see myself, how I am engaged in every aspect of my life, how it affected my mental health, how it has affected my relationships, how it has affected my friendships, how it has affected now my marriage, how it has affected my interpersonal communication. It's all been shaped by these things, by these interesting moments that have been a part of my life. And I'm super clear about that. I'm very clear that leadership has been a thread throughout my life. And in this thread, I'm having to learn what it means to be an effective leader. That leader is not positional. That leadership is a mindset. I truly believe, I've said this for years, that leadership is a mindset. It's about how you think. If you think like a leader, you'll operate like it. If you think like somebody who is about the business of getting things done, you will operate like it. If you think like somebody who wants to be a trendsetter and not a follower, you will operate like it. Because it's in the DNA of how you function in your life. But I'm going to take a break right here for a moment, and I'll be right back after this message. Want to promote your business, products, or services? Email me at scottconsultations@gmail.com. I would love to push forward the banner of what you're trying to accomplish, whether it is a product, whether it's your services or your business. I would love to work with you and be an advocate for what you're doing in your respective spaces. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you. Hi, everybody. Lee here. I want to talk to you real quick about something that's super important, and that is voting. As you well know, we are in an election season, and it's going to be really vital that you and I are people that know how to vote and know if we have things in right order. So I would encourage you. Today is National Voter Registration Day. Today is September 17th. It's National Voter Registration Day. And so it's super important that people like you and I ensure that we are registered to vote. Check and see if you are, check about your voting precinct, know where the polls are, know all these different things, because it's going to be super important in your communities. Hey, elections are just not about the national ticket. There are things that happen in your city, there are things that are happening in your county, in your state, and in our nation. And it matters that you make your voices heard. So I encourage you, check your voter registration today. Take the time to find out if you are registered to vote and if you are in the right place for voting. So check your voting registration today. Much love, and I hope in November you'll make sure that you get out and vote. See you soon. And we are back. I'm so grateful that you've been here to hear me talk about life, leadership, and legacy, but also reflect on my 30th year of life as I start my 31st year of life. And I'm super grateful for that. But I want to talk about two things as I'm ending today and really focusing on those two things. And those two things are, I want to talk about what I've learned over the last year and also what I'm excited about for this next year of my life. And one thing that I've learned over the year is that worth is rooted in what you believe. I think that's important for me because if you look at the last year of my life, there's been so many moments where I could have just given up or said, you know what, I'm just going to go do whatever. I'm not going to commit. I'm not going to keep doing what I'm doing. I question whether or not I was making the impact or doing anything significant, especially in the work that I'm doing with doing leading all the time. Like I have no staff, I have no team, but I'm the one that's recording. I'm the one that's editing this episode leading. I'm like, am I putting points on the board? And I had an experience even this last week where somebody I admire and respect, and I can't wait to bring him on leading, said to me when I ran into him, he said, man, I admire so much what you're doing with your podcast blog. See the work that you're doing, bro. Keep going, man. I would love to continue to partner with you and work with you. And I'm encouraged by the work you do. And that really encouraged me. I needed to hear that. He didn't know that, earlier this year, I considered not coming back for a fifth season of Leading with Lee. He had no clue that I was struggling a little bit over this last year to get my footing. I was trying to find my identity in the work that I was doing. But it truly was a big thing. And I recognize my worth is rooted in what I believe. That in order for me to be successful in this life, I have to recognize that what I think about myself here is everything. How I value my work, how I value my engagement with people, how I value the relationships and the connections that I have, how I value that is what matters the most. It's not external, it's internal. When I always know my worth, I always show up in a way that is authentic. Knowing your worth has to be rooted in the idea of authenticity. Like, that's what people are looking for. They're not expecting you to be somebody you're not. People can sniff that out pretty quickly. What they're looking for is you being authentic. And when I talk about this idea of leadership, I'm always trying to be authentic when I'm talking about this stuff on Hero Leader. There is no drive from me that is rooted in inauthenticity. I'm always being very honest and authentic when I'm talking about whatever I'm talking about. Even subjects that I'm not fully comfortable with, I'm talking from an honest place when I'm talking about that. When the individuals I brought on here, the people that I talk to on here, the people that I engage, I'm coming into those conversations with a level of curiosity and honesty about it. Because I'm determined to live a life of fulfillment. I'm determined to live a life that at the end of my life, when I look back, I would say it was worthy of my time. I put my all into it. I gave every aspect that I possibly could give in this life. And so when I think about this subject of worth, I think it's based on your perspective, your perception of yourself. You got to know that what you're doing is worth it. You got to know that everything you're dedicating yourself to is worth it. Don't dedicate yourself to something that's not worth it for you. It's a waste of your time. It's your energy, is waste of all those different things. It really is. You got to do that. And I thought my wife was worth it this year. I got on a plane twice to go to Brazil. One, to go and meet her family for the first time and propose to her. The second, to marry her because I thought she was worth it, because I believed she was worth it. I started working for the organization I worked for because I believed in their mission. I thought it was worth it to dedicate my time and talents to helping families in the space of education. It was worth it. I thought it was worth it to continue to invest in my mental health. I thought it was worth it to take the time to try to build productive and healthy friendships. That's something that is a quest in my life. To continue to try to engage in productive and healthy friendships, particularly with other men. Having dedicated and engaging relationships with other men. I felt that it was worth it. And I've experienced some heartache in that regard too. I've experienced some disappointment and letdown in that regard. But it doesn't mean that it's not worth it. Doesn't mean that I can't believe that it's worth my time. Having uncomfortable conversations with other men to strengthen me and challenge me to be better and stronger and accountable. That's worth it. In an environment that's pushing hypermasculinity, I think it's important that men understand that it's strength when we are honest and open. This actually takes a lot of strength to do that. It's scary to be vulnerable, but it's powerful when you allow other people into your situation, other people into the space where you can have an honest conversation about some things that's going on. because then they can lock arms with you and say, hey, man, you're not in this alone. I'm with you on this. I'm standing in the gap with you. I got your back on. That's really important. And so knowing that is vital. Other thing that I've learned over the last year is you can't get anywhere without determination. Listen, I don't think that I am where I am in my life without determination. Has it been easy doing the things that I do? Getting through the situation I've gotten through? I think about sometimes as I reflect, especially this last year of my life and the last few years of leading, how many moments where it's like, I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I worked 3 jobs and was doing leading with lead. Well, that was before leading, but right before I started doing lead, I was working 3 jobs. I don't know how I was living on the salary that I was living on and still pay my bills. I mean, literally is the grace of God. But I don't know how I was doing the things that I was doing. Involved in this, involved in that. Like, this is my life. It required some sacrifice of time. It required some effort. It required me having the guts to be like, you know what? I'm just going to do what is necessary. It required that. It required me saying, you know what? I'm going to commit no matter if nobody else helps me out. I'm going to be locked in. Like, this is what it required. And for you, you're watching this or listening to this right now, you're saying to yourself, well, Lee, I put a lot of effort into things and I still fail. But I think you're underestimating what progress looks like. We think progress has to be drastic. Progress, no matter if it's small or big, is progress. Big or small is progress. If you are moving forward in any way, shape, form, or fashion, you are progressing. This is simply what it is. You made progress. And so it's important for you to keep in your mind that I'm doing everything I need to do to proceed in a way that is beneficial to me. But it takes determination. It takes you having the guts to keep going, having the courage to keep going, having the belief that you can do anything. I've quoted this before, but there's John F. Kennedy quote. He says, efforts and courage are not enough without purpose and determination. Or purpose and direction, rather. You got to know that you're progressing in some way, shape, or form. You got to do the work. Again, you can't get anywhere without determination. I didn't get good at my job just because I was quote unquote talented. I had to be determined. I had to learn some stuff. I had to make some errors. I had to get coached. I had to sit in some meetings with some folks. I had to ask for advice. I had to do some research. I had to become a student of the college advisory space. I had to become a student. I've not done it before. I wasn't in college admissions, but prior to that, I wasn't doing that. That wasn't my life. I had to learn. I had to work engage the admissions counselors that I work, the former admissions counselors that I work with. I had to listen a lot. I had to figure out the rhythm of the work that we do. But it took some determination. It took some commitment. It took some grit to say, you know what? I don't know everything, but I can learn. It took some humility to be like, sure, why not? Why not me? Why not give my best efforts and value my perspective in those places? Because it gets to my last part of what I've learned. I've learned that I don't have anything to prove when I know who I am. There's nothing more powerful in your life than to figure out who you are. Self-actualization is the most powerful thing that can happen to any individual. Because you're not trying to conform to the ideologies or the ideals of people who really can't do anything for you or determine your success. You have to have a level of confidence in your life that drives you to do what you need to do. I look at the last year of my life. There have been some moments where as the kids say, I had to stand on business. I did. People were saying things or doing things that didn't really fly with me. I had to stand on business. I was unfazed by their idea of what it should look like for me. Even when I went through this thing called the Change Collective, where you've seen me bring on folks who I've gotten to meet over the last year. A lot of people had a lot of great things that they were doing. Incredible things. They were in spaces that I've tangentially been connected to or on the outer realm of what's going on. A lot of them are engaged in a lot of great work. But even in those spaces, I reminded myself, Lee, you have nothing to prove to these people. They're incredible. You can learn from them. But you, Lee, are here for a reason. There's a reason why the select committee picked you. They picked you because they felt like you were worthy of being involved in this process. When I lost things over the last year, friendships, when I lost jobs, when I lost opportunities over the last year, I have to remind myself that I have nothing to prove because I know who I am. Listen, you will not be everyone's type or flavor or selection. I was even reading in this book recently that there was this philosopher that were talking about in this book how sometimes we don't even pick people because they're the most qualified or the right person. We're picking people because they fit a certain archetype of what we think is the standard. We've only seen it this way, so therefore we think it only can work this way. So we look for people that have similar values or similar styles because it doesn't rock the boat that much. And listen, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But what I'm trying to get at for you is sometimes in order to change something, you got to rock some boats. You have to be someone that will push the envelope a little bit. Right. And pushing the envelope doesn't mean breaking the system. Some of it is actually shown up authentically. We've seen it in how media has changed so much. There's some artists and folks who are prominent in our society and culture now that then come through the traditional ways. They didn't come through the standard ways. There are folks that started on YouTube who are now big time actors and making money in all kinds of spaces. It's not because they're more talented or better than other people. It's just that they figured out who they were. People that are doing stuff on Twitch and doing things on TikTok and all these different things, and it's created opportunities from other spaces. They circumvented a system because they knew who they were. They figured out their identity, and people were attracted to that. And they felt that they had nothing to prove. They just stayed authentic in the spaces that they were in. They built what they were doing. You'll never see me talk about certain things here on Leading because that's not authentic to who I am. This is. There's other content that, I'm working on. But the reality is, the main thing is to note is that this is authentic to me. Telling this story is authentic. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't care about it. I recognize I don't have anything to prove to people when I know who I am. I know that I care about people walking in their full capacity. I know I care about people operating in leadership. That's what I care about. So I don't spend my time operating in a way that's inauthentic to me. And what I've recognized over the last year is, Lee, you have to consistently operate as if you have nothing to prove. Not because you're not willing to do the work. You have nothing to prove because you are secure in who you are as a person. And for you, I hope that you will have the security in your mind that you can be somebody that is effective in every space that you're in. Because your security is not external, it's internal. You're secure in who you are as a person. And that's really important for you. And I'll end with just talking about what I'm excited for the next year. I'm really excited for this next year of my life. I'm really excited to continue to go on this journey with my wife, Amanda, and all the things that we are doing and working on and evolving into. The story we are telling and our families coming from two very unique, different cultures, and how that is a lesson within the story. I'm learning Portuguese right now. I'm doing Duolingo all the time, y'all, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can. I've been doing it for the last year or so, and really trying to grow in my ability to communicate and engage her family, and because that's a value piece that matters to me, right? And I'm doing that. I'm engaging in that way. I've been focused on trying to do the work of growing in my relationship with her and in my marriage. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited to continue to see her every day and go on this journey of learning that we've been going on. I'm excited to continue to serve families and students in the Jackson metro area through education. The opportunity I get to do to talk to them about college has been one of the greatest opportunities I've personally, right at this point in my life. I'm super grateful that I get the chance to do this. Because every time I talk to a student, I can see myself. I can see where I was. And see that I could play a small role in possibly influencing them in a way where they see themselves in their future and actually pursue their goals with a level of confidence. Because one thing I look back now and wish that I wish I had the confidence to take risks. I wish that I was more comfortable with those things. And I think it's super important for me because this is literally been a dream job. I'm doing something that is extremely fulfilling for me. That's in my wheelhouse. It's in my DNA, And so I'm super excited and grateful for the work that I've gotten to do over the last year. And so that's been really great. And lastly, more than anything, I'm super excited to continue to be involved in things in my community. I could tell you it has been a joy to continue to be involved in what's happening with the Association of Subject Neighborhoods and being involved in Change Collective and all the things that I've gotten to do over the last year has been really, really impactful for me. And it's caused me to really, really think and consider some big things in my life. And so I'm super excited for what the future holds and what this next year of life is going to look like. But more than anything, I hope that you've been inspired by the last 5 years. I've been doing a birthday episode, I think, for about 3 or 4 years. I can't remember the first time I did it, but I think I might have did it in the first season. Yeah, I think I've done it every season of Leading with Lead, where I've shared where I was in my life and in that. And when I did the first time, I was still living in Tulsa, and it was a different time for me. But I can tell you, in the years that I've shared about this particular subject of life leadership, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that I've been more determined. I'm more hopeful. I'm more excited about what the future holds, and I'm really, really looking forward to engaging with you about this subject of leadership. So I hope that you were inspired this week. I hope that you will celebrate me on social media or celebrate me in some way, shape, or fashion. And I hope that I've inspired you over the last year of my life. So much love, and I'll see you next time here on Leading with Lee. See you soon. Thank you for watching and or listening to this week's episode of Leading with Lee. If you have not done it yet, subscribe on YouTube and all podcasting platforms. If you want to get more information and connect with me, visit me at www.leeascott.com or follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Lee A. Scott II or Lee A. Scott II. So, thank you for watching, much love, and let's get started.